Call a special hearing, gathered here this evening, for the adoption of local law B, for the year 2022, setting the salary for the county historian. Kelly,
Notice is hereby given by the Chair of the St. Lawrence County Board of Legislators that the Chair and the members of the Board of Legislators of the County of St. Lawrence will meet at the Board of Legislators Chambers Courthouse located at 48 First Street, New York, at 5:50 p.m. on Monday, July 11th, 2022, for the purpose of conducting a public hearing regarding adopting proposed local law B for the year 2022, setting the salary for the county historian. Be it enacted by the Board of Legislators of the County of St. Lawrence as follows. Section 1. The annual salary for the county historian shall be set at $10,000. Section 2. The full amount of the salary shall be paid during the year 2022 in monthly payments. Section 3. This local law shall take effect by adoption of this resolution by the St. Lawrence County Board of Legislators and upon filing with the Department of State by order of the Board of Legislators.
do you have any comments? See any comments? Guess we declare this meeting closed. Meeting's closed. This time I'd like to call to order the July 11th, 2022 full board meeting. But I need a motion for the suspension of rules to allow the attendance of meetings telephonically. Ms. Kern makes the motion, second by Mr. Spetters. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Roll call vote. Excuse me, roll call attendance.
Reagan,
Here.
Forsythe,
Here.
Lightfoot,
Here.
Sheridan,
Here.
Smithers,
Here.
Tanisha,
Here.
Perkins.
Yes.
Akers.
Here.
Bank.
Here.
Here. Yaco. Here. Burke.
Here.
Barclay.
Here.
Finelli. Curran. Here. 14 present.
This time we have a prayer offered by Vice Chair Tanisha, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Your Heavenly Father, this evening we thank you for the blessing of being able to gather here as free citizens of our great nation. Just 1 week ago today, we celebrated the day that represents the 245th anniversary of signing the Declaration of Independence and the birth of the United States of America, a free and independent nation. Take just a second to reflect upon the freedoms that we enjoy and remember that long before independence, settlers from Europe had begun the westward expansion in order to find improvements in their lives. Too often we take the rights and privileges that have been afforded us for granted. Let us give thanks to those who have gone before us, who through their sacrifices have granted us the freedom to assemble here. We ask that you grant this body the wisdom to make the best decisions during our deliberations and the fortitude to stand behind them. We also pray that you grant us the strength to put aside our differences for the greater good. For all these things, we ask your blessing to your Son, Jesus Christ, in whose name all things are possible. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have a approval of the agenda. A motion to approve the agenda by Mr. Denisha, seconded by Mr. Smithers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we've got approval of the minutes, June 6th, full board, and the June 27th special board meeting. We have a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Forsythe, seconded by Mr. Lightfoot. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we have communications.
A resolution was received from Fulton County opposing the conservation subdivision design bill of the Adirondacks Park Agency. A letter was received from Clifton Pines Central School, thanking the Board of Legislators for the Capital District Contract and Scholarship awarded to one of their students, Karina Betzel, who intends to attend Parsons University to study business.
Thank you. Questions? Citizen participation. For any citizen who would like to address the board. Francine Griffin has signed the sheet. She there?
No.
Not? So if there's anyone that wants to address the board, we'll go on to the presentation of resolutions. Ms. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a resolution proclaiming July 17th to the 23rd, 2022 as probation, parole, and community supervision week.
Seconded by Mr. Smithers. Is there any discussion? I don't see any discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mr. Kern.
Thank you. I have a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the Sheriff's Office and for implementation of an additional K-19 equipment training to St. Louis County. Move this resolution.
Seconded by Mr. Lightfoot. Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Tanisha,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Akers,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Packard. Yes. Yakko. Yes. Bert,
Yes.
Arquette,
yes,
Kern,
Yes,
14.
Motion carries. Ms. Turner.
I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with State Office of Security for fiscal year 2022. Management performance grant.
Seconded by Mr. Dave Forsythe. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Ms. Turner.
Thank you. I have a resolution authorizing the continuation of agricultural district 2 and accepting the modifications to the district.
Second by Mr. Lightfoot. Any discussion? Hey, Mr. Akers, any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Ms. Turner.
I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign grant amendments for early voting expansion grant contract extension.
And seconded by Mr. Dave Venetia. Dave Forsythe. Any discussion?
I would.
Discussion, no discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mr. Lightfoot.
Mr. Chairman, I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign an amendment to the contract with Health Research Incorporated for epidemiology and laboratory capacity in reopening schools. And move for adoption.
Second by Mr. Yako and Mr. Kern. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mr. Lightfoot.
Chairman, I have a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental transfer for an upper payment limit and modifying the 2022 budget for community services. And move for its adoption.
Second by Mr. Kern. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call vote, Ms. Bell.
Tanisha, Perkins,
Yes.
Akers,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Packard. Yes. Yakko. Yes. Bert,
Yes.
Arquette,
yes,
Kern,
Yes,
Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
14.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Mr. Chairman, I have a resolution accepting donations to St. Lawrence County Community Services Addiction Services Program. Move for its adoption.
Seconded by Mr. Kern. Mr. Smithers. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mr. Lightfoot.
Chairman, I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign an agreement with Drug Scan for use of a centrifuge device for community services. Move for its adoption.
Second by Mr. Burke. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Lightfoot.
Chairman, I have a resolution opposing the recently enacted New York State gun package consisting of 10 bills identified as A 1023 S 4970, A 6716 S 89, and I don't have the last two figures of that. That's 89, I guess. Continuing, A 7926 S 4116, A 7865 S 4511, A 10428 S 9229, A 10497 S 9407. Next is A 10501 S 9465. Next, A 10502 S 9113. Next, 10503 S 9458. And next, A 10504 S 9456. And calling upon the state of New York to adequately address the fundamental causes of mass shootings and move for its adoption.
Second by Mr. Forsythe and Ms. Kern. And, Mr. Harper. And any discussion? Go ahead, Ms. Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a question. In the second be it further resolved, it says the Board of Legislators call upon the state of New York to enact meaningful reform to tackle the fundamental causes of mass shootings without infringing on the rights of innocent New Yorkers. And I'd like to pose the question as to, are we asking the state of New York to identify those, or is this body identifying those in some way? The fundamental causes.
Lightfoot, do you have an answer for that?
Well, I
Or
don't have,
Mr. Akers, as well, he's his name down.
I'll defer to Mr. Lightfoot at this time.
I don't have a definition from Albany, but I think the fundamental causes are what are the physical, mental, emotional causes that or displays exhibited by someone who has it in mind to cause mass shootings in public places, and not necessarily public places, any place, without, it says, infringing upon the rights of innocent New Yorkers, much as this set of bills does with regard to gun ownership and possession and the right to carry. I think that fundamental causes are certainly open to many different definitions. And I think that probably the mental health field would be invaluable in making determinations as how that would fit into fundamental causes. I think it's not a difficult task identifying what a fundamental cause would be. Most of these people that are charged with or have been shot, killed, have definitely exhibited some thoughts of doing so, have taken steps to avail themselves of what they need to accomplish what they want to do. And some of them, when they are arrested and brought to court, show no emotion at all, which I think certainly goes toward the mindset of a person that is looking to cause mayhem, bodily harm, and a complete as in this case that just occurred, where all of these children were killed, a complete disregard and lack of feeling for the good and welfare of other people, AKA a psychotic.
Thank you very much, Mr. White.
Welcome, sir.
Mr. Carter.
Some of the wording, the newer bills that we talked about last week, talks about checking for someone's mental health background. Doing background check, wanting to read their social media to see if they've ever talked about wanting to harm each other, someone else. But not feel, no, they didn't want to harm another person. I mean, I think we can all agree that that's not normal. So the mental health issue is huge, and it is a constant thread in any of these mass shootings, murders, people attacking each other, someone choking someone, any of the things that you read about in the paper. The common thread is the person not being in the right state of mind to realize that what they're doing is wrong, and a great difference to the life of the people that they're doing it.
Any others? Yes, go ahead. Second.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would then call on this board as we have in the past to continue supporting anything that supports mental health care in this country, which we can expect. Thank you.
Mr. Arthur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor to this resolution.
So noted. Any other discussion? Mr. Akers.
So I think probably in the coming weeks, we'll get a chance to discuss the new gun laws that have been issued after the ruling by the Supreme Court on the Second Amendment. All these 10 laws actually do is actually restrict law-abiding citizens from utilizing fully their Second Amendment rights. Mr. Lightfoot and others have talked about mental health. I mentioned at the time in the committee meeting about the breakdown of the family. This is the breakdown of the family that has been promulgated by things that this government has done, starting back with the Great Society in 1968. The other thing is what it really restricts is for those minorities that are actually in communities where their lives are most in danger. Black population is about 23% of the population, but they account for over 47% of the gun deaths. And actually, in a 2021 Gallup survey, 88% of respondents said they only gun protection against crime. And that is what is happening. And actually, the last two Supreme Court rulings, McDonald versus Chicago and the Heller decision, those are both brought forth by Black individuals that felt threatened with their lives. One, a woman in Washington, D.C., and the second in Chicago was a man who retired, was in a nasty neighborhood and wanted to protect himself. So these guns actually, or these laws are restricting people from utilizing their Second Amendment rights and the fundamental right to defend yourself. So we'll be, like I said earlier, we'll be discussing the next legislation that is the midnight hour that is put forth. Yes, I certainly support this resolution.
Any other discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Skinner.
I think we've seen increase in the acceptability of violence. It's been portrayed through the national media. When you disagree with somebody, if you have a protest, it's okay to be violent. It's even encouraged in some cases. These laws that were just passed were done so hastily that it's ambiguous as to what really means. The governor says one thing, on the floor of the legislature, they say something else. There isn't agreement on that. They rushed it through. We live in a state where there's such a variety of people. People live up here. It's a much different environment. As you said, in the city, there's a lot of single parent families there where are brought up being violent to each other, there's gangs, and this can't be a one-size-fits-all kind of approach to these problems. We need clarification on it, we need to study it further. They need to tell us exactly what an assault weapon is. There's so many questions in this area that need to be answered. I don't think these bills that they passed do that for us.
Mr. Burke.
I'll be supporting the resolution, but I think Margaret's question is a good one. You know, what should we be advocating for? You know, it's safe to say none of us want mass shootings. We don't embrace the violence. And I don't know what the mental health, when past resolutions were brought up, the information I found was that it was unresolved anger. The 2 or 3 of the articles that I read said there was no greater incidence among the mentally ill. Although I suppose you can make a case for anybody doing stuff like this, there's got to be something wrong with them. But in the mental health field, it was always the single most reliable predictor of violence was a history of past violence. I don't think that that's changed, but it's certainly, and I think probably a lot of the police will tell you domestic violence. You remember of policemen that have been murdered responding to family violence. So I don't think that there's an easy answer to it. I don't think that there's an easy way to address it. I certainly don't have the answer, but I'm sure somebody will.
Go ahead, Ms. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With all due respect to my colleagues who mentioned single parent homes, we have many single parent homes in St. Lawrence County. I myself was a single mom for 20 years. That does not necessarily correlate to the child becoming a mass shooter. Okay. I think we need to clarify that because there may be people in this room other than myself that have experienced being a single parent. I'm proud to say neither of my children have anything to do with that, and I don't think it's an indicator. Thank you.
Sure.
So I just wanted to mention, if you look in either the old DSM-4 criteria or adjustment disorder or the new DSM-5, they mention unresolved anger as one of the criteria for the adjustment disorder, which is kind of person. I think they look like people.
It's not the
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're right. A lot of these shootings, they've been done. These people have had past history of violence. The problem is we're not prosecuting the existing laws that are out there. If they were prosecuting the laws that were out there and actually putting them in jail, not doing cautious bail, there has to be some sort of punishment for doing the wrong things. And right now, that's not happening. We don't need more useless law. We need to enforce the laws we have in place now. Guns don't kill. A gun will sit there all day long and not do a darn thing. People kill. That's where the problem is right now. We just need to enforce the laws we have.
Sure.
So certainly, single mothers are dangerous, but they are not involved in mass shootings. There's a couple stereotypes that are out there. First is that mass shootings are widespread and abundant. The reality is mass shootings are actually very rare. In conjunction with another gun violence, I think 45,000 people lost their lives to through suicide, is we have about the same amount of automobile fatalities, about 45,000. I think last year also. The second lie that is out there, or stereotype, is that this is not unique, that it's only happens in the United States, which is not true. It's not unique to the United States. John Lott, who's a gun researcher, he has a book called More Guns, Less Crime. He's authority on guns and registration and regulations. And his stats show that actually the United States ranks about 12th. Of course, you had the one shooting, I think it was in Norway, where the guy killed 69 people. Denmark had a shooting here last week, the other July 5th or 6th. So certainly, I think what the reference that I made to the family, and I was looking because I thought I had shared or saved this, my favorites with all the statistics that I talked about, breakdown the family, the marriage rates, particularly blacks, and the amount of the black population that's incarcerated, also black parents, black father. So my comments are not for a single woman. I think they do a great job. It's a very difficult task. It's Taggart, I'm sure, will attest. But it's a lack of fathers in the home. And if you ask any black scholar about what's the top 3 problems for the black race, well, number 1, no father in the home. Number 2, no father in the home. Number 3, no father in the home. Those are the issues. And so when you get in an urban setting, there's no male role model there, no successful male role model. They look within their gangs to find a leader that becomes the role model. So that was, and part of the Great Society that was implemented in 1968, 64 through 68 was a large part of this change. Look at data and you look at the illegitimacy rate from that period on, all the changes to crime and everything else. Blacks actually in the 60s had a higher rate of marriage than whites. Actually had a higher rate of employment than whites did in the 1960s. That's all changed, and not for the benefit. And that's a government regulation, which is not, I don't want to go on and on and have my facts in front of me. That was a part of government interfering in the family. And even then, they destroyed neighborhoods. The change was for urban renewal. They took down all these neighborhoods where there were small stores and in this community. And they put people in high rises. And then the biological fathers are not allowed to actually stay in those homes, in those apartments. And so it just exacerbated the problem. But we can get into that later. Certainly, I admire single parents. I mean, not only single
Point of
parents.
order.
Thank you. I'm done.
Any other discussion? No further discussion. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
1, no vote. Carried. Mr. Akers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the Department of Highways for McCarthy Road Bridge over West Branch of the St. Regis River, bin number 3358 370. I move this resolution.
And seconded by Mr. Diacono. Is there any discussion? See any discussion? We have a roll call vote, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
Akers,
Yes.
Bay.
Yeah.
Haggard,
Yes.
Diaco, Burke,
Yes.
Marquardt,
Yes.
Kern. Yes. Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yeah.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Heathers,
Yes.
Nisha.
Yes.
14 yes.
Carries. Mr. Akers.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for Department of Highways and revenue received from the insurance recovery for the Buck Road Bridge Plan. Move this resolution.
Seconded by Mr. Turner. Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? No discussion. Get a roll call vote. Please, Laura.
Akers,
Yes.
Bay,
Yes.
Haggard,
Yes.
Diaco, Burke,
Yes.
Marquardt,
Yes.
Kern. Yes. Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Resolution carries. Forgot to mention, earlier this evening, legislator from Alex excused for the first part of the meeting. Mr. Akers,
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign an amendment to the contract with the St. Lawrence County Workforce Development Board to update the new executive director. I move this resolution.
second by Mr. Kern, any discussion? No discussion, we have a roll call.
Not necessary.
John? Then, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mr. Akers,
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution establishing the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, SWIA budget 2022 to 2023. I move this resolution.
second by Gary Smithers, discussion. Burke,
I'll be recusing, because of family.
okay, so none. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Straight.
Roll call.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a memorandum of understanding between St. Lawrence County and St. Lawrence County One-Stop System Partners on behalf of all applicable departments. I move this resolution.
Okay. Seconded by Ms. Kern. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The resolution before, it's been brought to my attention, we do need a roll call on that. So let's have a roll call on, number 14, establishing the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act budget for 2022.
Hey,
Yes.
Haggard,
Yes.
Gacko, Burke, Lightfoot,
Yes.
Vernon. Yes. Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha.
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
13 yes, 1 absent.
Resolution carries. Mr. Akers,
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the forestry department for increased funds awarded to the Snowmobile Trail Grant. Move this resolution.
second by Mr. Perkins and Mr. Kern, any discussion? No discussion, not be a roll call on that.
Haggard,
Yes.
Gacko, Burke,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Vernon. Yes. Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
14 yes.
Resolution carries. Mr. Akers,
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign the 2022-2023 local sponsor signature form as part of the grant application to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. I move this resolution.
second by Mr. Forsythe, any discussion? Let's see any discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Straight.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign contracts with designated trail maintenance entities associated with New York State Snowmobile Trail Grant Program. I move this resolution.
Second by Mr. Kern, Mr. Perkins, any discussion? Let's see any discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Straight.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with St. Lawrence Health Initiative for the New York State Public Health Corps Fellowship Program and move this resolution.
Second by Mr. Lightfoot, and Mr. Kern, any discussion? Don't see any discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Straight.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the County Administrator's Office for costs associated with court-ordered treatment services at New York State operated inpatient mental hygiene facilities. I move this resolution.
Seconded by Mr. Kern, any discussion? Don't see any discussion, here, roll call, please.
Piacco. Yes. Burke.
Yes.
Barclay.
yes,
Kern.
Yes.
Reagan.
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
Denisha.
Yeah.
Perkins.
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Haggard.
Yes.
14 yes.
Motion carried. Mr. Akers.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution adopting local law B for the year 2022, setting the salary for the county historian. I move this resolution.
Second by Mr. Forsythe, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Straight.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution to address the impact of cost of materials on the 2022 paving budget, authorizing an additional 10 miles of paving, and modifying the 2022 budget for highways paving projects. I move this resolution.
Second by Mr. Lightfoot and Mr. Smithers, any discussion? No discussion, we roll call.
Burke.
Yes.
Barclay.
yes,
Kern.
Yes.
Reagan.
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yeah.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
Denisha. Perkins.
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Haggard.
Yes.
Piacco. Yes. 14 yes.
Motion carried. Mr. Akers.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the Department of Highways to utilize additional fund balance for the capital project construction of highway facilities in the towns of Lisbon, Potsdam, and Russell. I move this resolution.
Seconded by Mr. Kern and Mr. Denisha, Lightfoot, and Mr. Reagan, and any action, Lightfoot. Okay, line on.
Would like to be added as a.
Oh, okay, will do.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yes, Glenn.
Just want to note for the taxpayers that by us actually providing from our savings, our fund balance, that this will save the county taxpayers about $500,000 in interest by actually providing the cash to build this bond.
So, no. Go ahead, Mr. Reagan.
I think, following up on Mr. Akers' comment, I think it's also important to note that by doing this, by moving these heavy equipment, pieces of heavy equipment to these outposts, over the long term, will save the county's taxpayers a great deal of money in unnecessary travel, in unnecessary gasoline costs, in unnecessary wear and tear in traveling, because for the past untold number of years, these vehicles have had to travel from Canton to the location of these outposts and then begin their work during the year. So I commend the Highway Department and the county administrator in these efforts to decentralize county government and to save the taxpayers a great deal of money by shifting these operations to where they really need to be.
Any other discussion? We have a roll call vote.
Barclay.
yes,
Kern.
Yes.
Reagan.
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yeah.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
Denisha.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Haggard.
Yes.
Pietrowski. Yes. Bert. Courtney, yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Forsythe.
Chair, I'd like to offer a resolution authorizing filling a vacancy and move for its adoption.
Seconded by Mr. Smithers and Ms. Kern. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mr. Denison.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a resolution commemorating the 120th anniversary of Alcoa.
Seconded by Ms. Kern. And Mr. Arquette. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Just, I won't read the entire resolution, but I want to touch on some highlights. And this is especially important to me because I had a successful career at Alcoa. Whereas on June 26, 1902, Charles Martin Hall, the inventor of the original aluminum process, committed to purchasing power for a newly built powerhouse on the canal connecting the St. Lawrence and Grass Rivers in St. Lawrence County. We'll drop down to the fifth whereas since its founding, Alcoa has grown to become the largest aluminum producer in the world, which today operates approximately 350 facilities in 34 countries around the world. Next, whereas Alcoa was the first aluminum company to harness sustainable hydropower to drive the smelting process, helping to drive down the price of aluminum. Today, hydropower is still a critical part of the strategy of Alcoa to maximize the sources of sustainable, clean, renewable energy. For those of you that may not know it, the aluminum making process is consumes huge amounts of electricity, and hydropower makes it feasible. Whereas the historic flight of the Wright brothers took off with an Alcoa aluminum crankcase. Aluminum came from the sea. Its lightness helped tip the balance of power and weight to change the world of transportation forever. And since that day, Alcoa has played a key role in nearly every major innovation in aerospace aluminum. And there have been a number of milestones from the Messina plant, including the development of a casting method that created larger and higher quality ingots using a variety of alloys, including those used for aircraft, the World War II fighter planes, Titan II rockets, Saturn space vehicles, Vietnam War Hueys, helicopters. Whereas in 1969, Apollo 8 was constructed with a Belgian reactor from Messina operations. And the Apollo 11 lunar module contained Messina aluminum. Alcoa helped build the Empire State Building in 1931, the World Trade Center in 1973. Just on and on. So it is a great pleasure that I offer this resolution in recognition of the many innovations that have taken place at the plant.
Mr. Reagan.
And I think it's important to note, there's a lot of people that not too long ago wrote off Alcoa and have, consistently argued, oh, Alcoa is closing any day now. It's not going to make it. Well, we've heard that, and we've seen people make that statement, but the reality is that the quality of the workforce at Alcoa, the both management and union workers, the quality of their product over the years has made that plant successful. And it continues to be successful. And at we are in a free market economy, and the price of aluminum goes up and down as the international markets dictate. But during periods when the markets, when aluminum prices go up, our Messina plant becomes very profitable. And that is a testament to its workforce and to its management, and is the reason why that company continues its operation. So those who would continue with their doom and gloom about the future of Alcoa should take a look and realize Alcoa is still here and will continue to be here as long as we here in the North Country stand behind them and fight for them so that they can continue producing a terrific product at one of the most efficient operations in the world.
Mr. Arquette.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank Alcoa and the United Steelworkers for 120 years of doing business, not only in Messina, not only in St. Lawrence County, but for this whole region. We have workers at the Alcoa plants, although smaller than they were one day, as previous speakers have said, a real lifeline for economics in this region. The economic impact studies that have been done on these facilities show that every job there at Alcoa generates anywhere from 5 to 8 jobs out in the community. So we're thankful for every job that we have there. We're thankful for the United Steelworkers, for Alcoa, really generating revenues that have been felt for well over a century. And I'll just close by letting folks know Larry didn't say it, but Larry worked there for just over 100 years himself. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Gotta rebut that 100 years. However, I will note that although the 120th anniversary occurred on June 6th, I was there for the 75th anniversary. So, I'm proud of that.
Any other comments? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Ms. Haggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Lighthouse Software Systems LLC to provide program enrollment verification services for addiction services opioid treatment program and modifying the 2022 budget for community services and move for its adoption.
Second by Mr. Burke, Ms. Kern, and Mr. Fay. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call vote.
Curran,
Yes.
Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe,
Yeah.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
Fay.
Yes.
Haggard. Yes. Gatto. Yes. Burke.
Yes.
Arquette.
Yes.
Resolution carries. Mr. Denisha.
Mr. Chairman, I have a resolution reappointing the conflict defender for St. Lawrence County and its adoption.
Seconded by Ms. Kern and Mr. Perkins, Mr. Burke, and Mr. Forsythe. And someone else? Yeah, Mr. Lightfoot?
Yes.
Mr. Arquette. Mr. Arquette as well? And are there any discussion on it? I don't see any discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Ruth.
A few updates for you this evening. I want to thank you for coming in a little bit early for the photograph for our proceedings, as well as a new array that we've set up commemorating the 220th anniversary of the county. It will also include a photograph of the sitting legislature. Just a couple of facts updated on COVID. As a reminder, we've moved to monthly reporting. Public health reporting to us now, we're averaging approximately 12 to 15 cases per week. Our current vaccination percentage is 65.1 with 1 dose. They will schedule a vaccination clinic during this Governor and St. Lawrence County Fair in August. And this will be targeted to the 6-month to 5-year-old population. So stay tuned for the date. They're looking at the 3rd, but they have not confirmed that date yet. The home test reporting has decreased. I don't think that's to suggest anything other than the reporting component, whether that's an indicator of how many cases or not. It dropped 29% from May to June. We went from 740 down to 211, and in July, we've seen 23 reported so far. So that's a COVID update for now. Wanted to let you know with regard to human resources, in an additional effort for recruiting, the caseworker exam that's scheduled for September, that will be the next one held. We will be waiving the exam fee associated with that civil service exam. That will be included in the announcement that goes out. The NYSAC, New York State Association of Counties, is scheduled their fall conference in Buffalo, New York, for September 19th through the 21st. Anyone interested, please let us know. We can make those arrangements. There are standing committees which take place on the first day of the conference. There are only 4 that lack St. Lawrence County participation or representation. Those include the Climate Action Committee, Information Technology Task Force, Native American Affairs, and Transportation. So if any of you are interested in sitting on any of those committees and would like to attend, that certainly is something that we can complete for you. Please let us know. And we'll make sure to include that so that you have notice of their meetings and their resolutions. Office for the Aging will hold the annual senior picnic this year. It will be the first since 2019. This will be held on Thursday, August 11th at the Governor Community Center. If you're willing to help and able to attend on that day, we'll need you to arrive by 11 for an 11:15 service of lunch. And that should wrap up just after 12. So if you're interested in attending and helping out, let Andrea know or let us know and we'll make sure she gets that message. Next week, we have operations and services. If all of you noted the fact on your calendar, it's already the 11th and we're just having our July board meeting. So the 18th, we'll have combined meetings. Our social services staff will be traveling. So those that typically provide you with the reports on the monthly update will be at the New York Public Welfare Association conference, getting some valuable education. So they'll report in August at services. And I'm hopeful we'll have a complete and final for you at that time for the Children's Services review. But a few months ago, there was a request of the Operations Committee to have a presentation provided by the EMC on nuclear energy. And so that will be coming to you at the Operations Committee meeting next week. At Finance, we'll bring to you the second quarter report for the financial update. Our auditors will also join us to present the 2021 results. And we'll also bring resolutions forward to address the new reserves that we talked about at Finance this last month. With regard to the American Rescue Plan funds, we are continuing to work with the IDA on the economic development component and hope to bring you some updated information on that. Tomorrow, if you recall, last month you adopted the allowance for the child care program that the IDA is going to oversee for the county. And SUNY Canton will be sharing some information on the Family Child Care Training Program. And if you recall, we're modeling our program similar to that that's been successful in Jefferson and in Lewis counties. So I'm hopeful to be able to share some more information with you and certainly get that out into the public. And the hope is to get more slots created for child care for working parents. And in August, which is the 1st, our board meeting will be held. We will hold that at the fair. That is the night before the fair kicks off on August 2nd. And I'm hopeful we're going to work to arrange plans for you to see where the ARPA funds that have been dedicated and appropriated for this purpose are being put to use. So I have, unless there's questions for me.
Questions?
Oh,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Akers.
is there any chance that all the legislators can get the final seal report?
There is, and we're working to get a final, that will be shared with you just as soon as we have the final draft.
Bert?
I'm not sure that I understood our inability to hire part-time correctional officers. Is it because they're not on the list? Is that correct?
We do have 10 part-time correction officer spots. I guess I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean the reciprocity between state and county?
Not for the- Didn't need to have like retired. Didn't meet the criteria of the sheriff.
It's correct. There's,
Oh, the sheriff.
Yeah.
But what about professional?
I defer to Johnny on the specifics related to civil service. And is that with regard to state troopers, retired or state corrections into deputy sheriff and correction officers? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay, Johnny's here with us.
Go ahead.
Hi. So we have talked to New York State Civil Service several times about reciprocity for New York State troopers into sheriff type positions or police positions. And it is completely a separate exam and they will not allow it.
Johnny, we're not allowed to appoint them provisionally.
So, not allowed to what?
We're not allowed to appoint them provisionally.
No, so even a provisional appointment must meet the qualifications. And we can't put them in provisionally, especially if we have a list. So there's blockades to that. They just won't allow it. I mean, let me take that back. We could put them in provisionally if they met the qualifications. But most of the time, I'll tell you that a retired police officer, if that's what we're looking at, will not meet the age requirement, number one, which is 35, in most circumstances. But if they did meet the requirements, they could go in provisionally, and then they would have to take a test. But they could only go in provisionally if we didn't have a list.
So we have a viable list.
We have a list. Now, if we break the list, we could possibly put somebody in provisionally if they meet the quals. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to the old business. The new business. And is there a need for an exec? No, committee reports. Is there any committee reports? Anyone else to share? Executive session, is there a need?
We have a need for litigation or personnel, which is the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and one appointment.
Motion to executive session. Perkins makes a motion, second, Mr. Carson, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Executive session.
Robin, Robert McClellan, Old Market Road, Potsdam.
That's the motion. Who seconds it? Second by who? Mr. Fay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, Mr. Collins got it. Let's see.
Move to adjourn.
Chair's appointments, I've got one for the New York State Open Space Conservation Plan. Rita Kern is going to be appointed to that. She's already in leaders discussion and commission advisories. Is there anyone who has an interest that would like to be on that open space conservation plan? We meet about 6 times, I think, a year. If not, I think we can find someone else. If you have change of heart, let me know sometime in the next few days. Okay, so we got the one plan, Rita Kern. For that. Motion to adjourn. Mr. Kern. Purple set, all in favor of adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.